Hello and welcome to a video in which I'm going to demonstrate limiting on a 7.1.4 immersive mix. This is a post-production mix. This is for NESCOM's hybrid mix techniques course. This is mix 3 where you are experimenting with immersive for the first time and you're new to limiting on the bus. So I've already set up, and you should have already watched the other videos getting the mix set up. Of course, this is not an Atmos mix. It's directly to the speakers, 7.1.4 discrete. And you've already set up your mix, and now we want to get the limiter on. I would recommend putting the limiter in early in your mixes. I would say the first thing you should do is kind of get your limiter going. And of course, we're in NESCOM Control C here, and since we're doing a 7.1.4 mix, we're going to put the limiter on the master bus here, and we'll put a loudness meter after that so you can actually find out what your target loudness is and whether you're achieving it. And we don't have a lot of choices here because there are not a lot of multi-channel processors. In fact, the only limiter we really have to choose from here, if I go up to dynamics, you'll see the only limiter we really have in NESCOM Control C as of the summer of 2024, which is right now, is this FabFilter Pro L2. So I'm going to instantiate that. No other real choices here. Now, as for a loudness meter, we're also in a bind here. There really are no 7.1.4 loudness meters we have available. But what's nice is the L2 does have a built-in loudness meter. So if this opens up for you like this, click the loudness button and set it to your target. Our target, of course, is minus 24. Oh, set it to loudness, and you're going to use minus 24 as your loudness. It doesn't matter how, here you go, set it. We're here minus 24. This just kind of calibrates the meter, and you're going to be going for your mix sitting around or at or within a dB or so of minus 24 for this assignment. Other features I would turn on this thing, you know, a little bit of oversampling won't hurt. It will help limiting. That's acting very strange right now. There we go. 2 times is fine. Don't need any dither. Your true peak output level should not exceed minus 1. And then for your input level, which is really the threshold on this device, let's just kind of put it, say, 3 dB here. So it will do a little bit of limiting when things get within. It'll do a tiny bit of limiting, but of course we don't really know yet because we haven't really mixed, and that's the problem often with bus compression and bus limiting is setting it to begin with. You have to kind of constantly go back and forth between your mix and the limiter. So general workflow here. This is this mist mix is kind of a difficult one to get the loudness, to get the limiting and the loudness monitoring correct because it's pretty sparse. You really just have a stereo music mix and a VO who's talking throughout, and then some sound effects in the end. So the body of your mix, the core of your level, is going to be set by this music and VO. So my general approach when I'm doing post mixes is to start with the dialogue. In this case, we only have one dialogue element. So I'm going to solo the dialogue, and I'm going to set its level to its fader level to unity here, and I'm going to instantiate a limiter on that. I've listened to it. It may or may not. You don't always need a limiter on your dialogue, but in this particular case, I think it will help us kind of rein it in, get it under control. So again, you could use a FabFilter Pro L2. I'm going to use, it's odd the waves are not, oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the multi-channel submix here. Let's go to the actual mono dialogue element, and I'm going to use the waves L1 because we've been learning about it in class. Where did it go? I saw it go by there, the L1 limiter. And as a workflow here, your approach, I'm holding shift down here to open up a second plugin. I say get your dialogue to sit at your target, minus 24. And if you do that, solo your dialogue, only listen to dialogue, get your dialogue to sit at minus 24, and then mix your ambiances. And in this particular case, there is no ambience in the mix. It is music that kind of glues everything together. Then glue your music under your dialogue and do sound effects last. So let's do that. Let's kind of get to a spot in the that has a lot of dialogue. So I'm going to start there at about 20 seconds, and we're going to press play. And you can see right away that the dialogue is quite loud. In fact, it's sitting at, say, minus 18 or less or more, depending how you look at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag down the link here and just try to put a little tiny bit of compression on the dialogue. So it's kind of taming the peaks slightly. I'd say no more than -3 dB. And there's some sound effects in that dialogue as well. And so I'm kind of gently limiting it. And then I'm looking back over here. And I'm going to move my short-term loudness to integrated. This will give me kind of a going average here. We can reset it. That's the reset button there. Let's check that again and see how loud we are. And you can see we're quite loud, right? So it's sitting around, say, -17. So I need to bring it down around 7 dB to get to -24. So this output level is at -7 right there. If I bring it down to about -14, my dialogue, the dialogue, should kind of sit right around -24 here. So a dB here or so, I don't really care about at the moment. I've got to build the rest of the track around this, but this is a good starting place. Now, the next step, kind of getting this level right, is bring up your monitor pot, which of course you guys can't see, it's on the console here, but set this dialogue at a comfortable level. It's panned to the center channel because that's typically what we do with these post-production immersive mixes. And I kind of set this whole thing to a level that I want to hear in the room while working, and then don't touch the monitor pot. Mix everything around this. So we've kind of got this. We probably haven't even hit the limiter yet, barely even close to the limiter. And that's okay. I'm going to close these guys. Now I'm going to mix the rest of the clip, the rest of this trailer into, and I will start with the music because that's the sustaining thing. So I'm going to take it out, I guess, let's mute there is some ambience here, but the ambience doesn't come in till later. So I'm going to mute the ambience, and I'm going to mute the sound effects. And we'll just work with the music. Now, what I've done offline here is I've dumped a bunch of reverb. The music mix is mono. Excuse me, it's stereo. It's only 2-channel left and right, so I've panned it left and right. And I've dumped a bunch of reverb going off to an altaverb here, which is, I just picked the default altaverb, and it makes the music surround me. And I did play with the output gains of the various speakers, and I changed some of the parameters. But basically, now I can mix the music underneath the dialogue, so we'll solo it. It's a little loud. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. And it's surrounding me, and you can kind of see here, this is the reverb coming back and the masters. Now, we're not even close to hitting the limiter. Again, I've still got it set to the +3, so the threshold is far above anything we've actually seen. We haven't seen any limiting happening here. And basically, I'm on target, right? I'm about a dB off here. I'm a dB less level. Maybe I could bring this up a little bit, but I haven't opened up the sound effects and the ambience. So without sitting here and listening to the whole thing, I'm going to take it out of solo, and I'm going to open up these effects and these ambiances. And I played with these for just a couple minutes before I made the video to kind of rough mix them. And we're coming up to the section here where there's a lot more sound effects. And if we look at the bus limiter, and I'm sorry, I got to drag it up. We can kind of see I'm sitting about -26, so I'm a little low. I'm just going to raise the gain here going into the limiter by a couple dB. Let's go to +5. And you just saw the limiter got kicked in there. And I'm going to reset my limiter. But for this part of this, I'm going to reset my meter. You can see I'm not limiting at all. I don't need to really limit all the time. And I would also, by the way, automate the music to come up here quite a bit. It would come up in 3 or 4 dB as an automated ride, because this is an exciting spot where the music replaces the dialogue, replaces the VO. But you can see there's very little limiting, and I'm pretty close to my target level of -24. And so to kind of summarize, I put the only single limiter we have in here to work with, this FabFilter, Pro L. I kind of started with a gentle amount of gain. I put the meter to kind of target minus 24, put it in loudness mode, put it in long-term integrated loudness. And I started with the dialogue, and I limited it a couple dB, and I set its output level to really see about minus 24 on our integrated loudness. Then I opened up the other tracks that are kind of sustaining and kind of filling around the dialogue. In the case of this Mist trailer, it's all about the music. And I put some reverb on the music to make it immersive around me and height channels and all that kind of surround me. And I set its level to kind of be appropriate to that dialogue level. And the last thing I did, which I really didn't show in this video, is I went through and quickly set rough mix levels, and you'll want to automate these and make them more exciting, put a little EQ and reverb and all these things on these sound effects to make them exciting and send them to the LFE speaker and all that other kind of immersive mixing stuff. But set those, and then in the end, go back and kind of look at your target level and go, oh, gee, I'm at minus 26.9. I'm 2 dB away from my target. Let me add a little bit of gain. Okay, so I hope this video kind of helps you get ready to do some limiting in this immersive environment. And of course, it reinforces some of the things we've been doing in class, which is this workflow of post-production mixing where you start with the dialogue. All right, have a great day. I'll see you in class. Bye-bye.